Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, gatekeepers. Hello, everybody out here in Rumble Land, in YouTube world, I guess, and in Facebook town. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, Salvador. I hadn't seen you in a while. It's so good to know that you're all right. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and all the holidays you celebrate. May they all be wonderful. So good to see you. Hello, Henry. Hello, Scott. Good to see you. I didn't see you in there because you're like invisible. Camouflage is just so good with this one. Do you remember the best thing in a movie called Toys? I believe it was Robin Williams played. It was a crazy movie. But the best thing about it was LL Cool J and his camouflage. If you've seen it, if you know, you know. So there you go. Hello, Chris. Welcome in. Welcome in. Froze. Good to see you. So good to see you. And who else did I have? I had somebody in here very early. Let me see. I want to say hello to everybody. RP, good to see you. We had such a good time over during our Christmas Rumble extravaganzas. We did 13 hours one day, a little over 13 hours one day, and we did, I think, almost 6 the day after Christmas to unwind together. It was pretty cool. Hello, Motivation. Welcome in. Welcome in. So, listen, I did that long little intro for a reason. I know people get upset. It's okay. Be upset, be offended, please. Stop it. This, we're light workers. And after all the holidays and everything else, empaths, light workers, anybody with abilities, so many different people just get so drained. And that's the big thing for holidays. We're so glad they're here. We want everybody to have a wonderful day. We try to make everybody's, every minute count. And it just gets really draining. And then if you have to be around, maybe more, where you work or maybe family. Hello, Kat. Welcome in. Family or whatever. It can get really draining. You just gotta take care of yourself. So self-care. And I've got 2 ladies in here. Now, I did not know what to call it tonight because we had so many different things going on. We had horrible weather. Lynn was driving through weather. I don't know if Michelle was affected. We're having storms coming this way. So many people I know it's been tornadoes and other things. So here's the thing. Wasn't sure who was going to be able to make it tonight. So it's going to be, what it turns out to be, because here's the thing. Light workers, the spirit guides know what we need. And the first thing we needed was a retouch back into nature. Hello, Uncommon. Welcome in. Retouch back into nature. Seeing all those pictures and the birds and the wolves and the cats playing in the snow and whatever it was, birds flying in flight. We need to remember to connect back into nature, because one of the things about light workers is we come in, our soul remembers that our kind of, I want to say, mission is to come in and try to make every spot we touch a little bit better, to connect into nature, to spend time understanding the balance between us and nature, and the boundaries between whether it be the ocean or wildlife or just the regular state of the globe at the time. If you're an empath, you probably are getting all kinds of cumbersome weight from all of those things. So what we're going to do is, the very first thing was the music, the vibration. We changed the vibration and the frequency, and we connected back into nature, and we saw some things that made us feel better from the inside out. And that's how you do it. It's something that simple. That was a simple 7 minutes when everybody was coming in to saying, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. And connecting back in with that, that light energy, that familiarity, maybe some new people connecting in and getting welcomed in. That's a great feeling as well. So right away, all those vibrations change. Something that simple, that quick. Whatever you left behind in your day, whatever you're going through now, you might be in traffic. You could, I don't know, cooking, whatever, folding laundry, whatever you're doing, working on a car. Hopefully that took away a little stress and gave you a little bit more balance, and also showed you how quickly we can forget how easy it is to tap into that instant grounding, back into that light, back into that frequency. So welcome in. I hope that you will feel better leaving this evening than when you came in. Blissfully, Renee, hello, darling. Welcome in. So tonight, without further ado, um, back from just terrible traffic, and I think she's going to be just audio tonight. Bless her heart. I'm just so grateful that she could make it in tonight. Her insight and her friendship and her experiences and the things that she's gone through decades of being in the medical field, being an end of life doula, and being there in that time of a human being's journey is quite the thing for someone with abilities. So she has been on the show multiple times. She is my co-host on the last Sunday of every month when I don't screw it up. And and you know her. She is an author of multiple books, and once bought a haunted house that was so haunted she couldn't even really move in. And so again, light workers, we picked a hard path, but we learned from them. And Lynn is one of those. So please welcome in my friend, Lynn Monnet. You're up here twice, sweetie. I don't know what to pull. Did I pull the right one?
I don't know, but it's good. Happy holidays, everybody. Sysco, I love the shirt.
Oh my goodness.
Look at Sysco's shirt.
I finally got one.
Yay!
I got one from Santa Claus. Isn't that wonderful? Look,
Yay.
look crispy. Look crispy.
Yes.
There he is. There he is.
I love mine. I've been traveling so much since Thanksgiving time.
Right.
Multiple states. It's been nuts. So I was coming home today.
Loaves and bacon.
But you know, and hello everybody. I can't see the chat very well, so please.
If I pull it on the screen, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good. So I'll try to get them up on the screen so you can see them. These mods are already dropping your links here, lynnmonnet.com. All your wonderful conversations and podcasts and be on Gaia and everything else. There's so much wisdom to be learned here. But I'm so excited you're here tonight, Lynn, because I can't think of anybody else I'd rather have to. What I'm trying to do is bring our wonderful new friends, Michelle and Stephanie. Stephanie is from Get Spooky Society, and bring their abilities and their knowledge of their expertise in this wonderful world of metaphysical, paranormal, supernatural. It's so vast, a wonderful, connected, genre that I love to get people in, because I can tell you right now, as much as I've read my horoscope and, like everybody, in the week in the Sunday paper or in a magazine or listen to, wherever you might get it, I can't tell you that much about astrology, which is, I'm glad I have people that know about that, or, might be more in depth in the abilities of the properties of crystals than I am. I know a little bit, so I think it's wonderful when I can bring people in that have an expertise, and one of yours is in the medical field. And it's also our next guest. She has been in the medical field for a very long time. And I was so excited to get the two of you together and just bounce off of your experiences. And you've never met each other, so it's going to be fresh energy and all the experiences. If you've had one that validates something that she has a vantage point on, I just think it's going to be a wonderful conversation. And you have a new book coming out too, and you're just staying very active. And I just think it's wonderful how you guys have found ways to put yourselves out there and bring back through your experiences to help teach others and other light workers how we can get through some of the, the harsh roads we choose to go down, because we choose it.
I agree. And I was really looking forward to this and meeting these new people. I mean, we all learn from each other. So none of us, they talk about people that are experts. There is no expert in paranormal, because every time you think you know it all, you get a curveball thrown at you. So absolutely. Yes, definitely. So,
well, we're all here to learn from each other. So without further ado, I would like to bring in now everybody. I put down all kinds of labels and things. And I'll tell you something that I've found in this world. Usually the very sincere, really great light workers that are out there to help people and everything else, they're so hesitant to pick a label. It's like, would you consider yourself an empath or a sensitive? I mean, in every interview we've ever been in, would you consider yourself a medium? And I usually say, no, I'm an extra small or an extra large or something like that, because it throws them off, and and when I get introduced to, and they say, you know, a ghost expert, and I'm like, no, I've had 50 years experience. I'm not even close to being an expert, you know. And I think that, you know, when we get people in that are of the real deal, they don't want to pick a label. But Michelle's, you know, for sure, she is a medium. She does the most wonderful astrology readings on her channel. She gives of herself like you would not believe. The light that just comes out of you, my friends, I'm telling you, it blows you away. And you've got to get over there. And the giving of their gifts, when Stephanie and Michelle get together, they do readings for people in the chat. And I mean, these are in-depth readings of, you know, even though they say they're just a sprinkling or a little bit of smattering of a reading, you get so much hope and so much connected in because the energy is so vibrant, you know. And I just can't wait to get you two together. Without further ado, please, my friend, Michelle Rogers, get in here, sweetheart. Hi, baby. Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Lynn, Michelle. I'm so excited for oh gosh, feel the energy.
Yes.
Just reach in there and grab you some of this light, because I'm telling you what, you know, after Christmas and we so drained, and I'm so glad the two of you are together. Listen, Michelle, please tell a little bit to Lynn about your experience in the medical field, and you know what you've been doing, so that way she can understand a little bit about what I was telling her.
Sure, I'm so excited.
Welcome, honey. Welcome.
Yeah, I am smiling at you, by the way. I am.
She's smiling.
To meet you, sweetie. So we're exchanging the energy here. I got you. Okay.
Wonderful. It's so nice to meet you, Lynn. So first of all, I need to say my name is now Brandenburg. I went through a divorce in May and took my maiden name back. So I'm Michelle Brandenburg.
Brandenburg. Now you're going to have to teach me how to spell that one, sugar.
Yes, it's long.
It's a long one. Okay, because I'll spell it wrong the first 50 times. Okay, go ahead. Go from there. Bless your heart.
So when I was 3 and 4 years old, I remember that I knew I was going to be a nurse and a teacher. So fast forward at 13, I became a candy striper at our local hospital in Richmond, Kentucky. And then when I was 16 at our vocational school, we had a HOSA program. Back then the rules were a little bit different because, you know, I'm almost 53, so we've got some lots of things that were different back then. But I became I got a certification through the vocational school for EMT, for CMA, and medical assistant, which was really, really cool. From there, I went on. I decided to do CNA. I have a lot of people in my family on my dad's side that there was a huge family. There were 11 kids, including my dad, and plus many others of the ancestors. Alzheimer's was really prevalent. And so I knew that I wanted to study Alzheimer's and the brain. So that's why at 16, I decided I wanted to go that route. So fast forward, I became a CNA, worked myself up from CNA, KMA, and then on into nursing, and up to a nursing supervisor. Once I became the house supervisor, I also took a side job to work as a CNA or an SRNA instructor for the state, and help certify people. That was very fun too. But yeah, I chose the Alzheimer units, which they're rough.
Yeah, that's a rough road. But the light workers, like we're going to talk about tonight, we choose these for a reason. We choose these roads for a reason, and we like to blame other people. Like, why did you put this on me? Did you? You chose it. You chose it for a reason, because you knew on the other side and you were cocky over there, and this is what you got, right, sweetheart? So is that similar? I mean, Lynn, you can look at what she's been doing in the medical field, and you have a similar like almost like a parallel in the medical. And the whole reason I'm focusing on that is, of course, the obvious is that if you're with people that have Alzheimer's, you're with people, because I believe with Alzheimer's very much like being in a coma in a way. We still talk to people like they can hear you, they can, they're a lot more there than people would like you to think. And that's just the approach I've always had. You guys might differ, but of course the whole thing is when you're with people like that, my elders in different routes of my family, being in the Native American side, always had this kind of a easygoing way of looking at the spiritual side. It's almost like if you were half here, you were half over there. And I believe in so many ways that's so true. I don't know how you feel about that, Michelle, but when you're almost like going back and forth. And Lynn, you've said that at the end of death, people they go back and forth almost in that spirit. It is a kind of yo-yoing back and forth in some ways. Do you want to comment on that, Lynn?
Yes, actually, I commend you, Michelle. I think that you've done amazing medical things, and we do parallel. I did end of life care for 17 years, which also included the Alzheimer's ward, which is where I had a patient that hadn't spoken in 3 years, and when there was another patient farther down the hallway from where this woman was tooling along in her wheelchair, stopped in front of the nurse's station, and directly in front of her, just down the hallway, the first door on the right, there was a woman that was actively passing. And I hear this. I was getting my charts ready, and I'm 61. I'll be 62 in May. But so back when the paper charts were, I was back there checking the doctor's orders and stuff like that before I started my med pass. And all of a sudden, I hear this woman screaming out loud, "Take me home, please, please take me home." And I come out of the back of the charting area into the nurse's station. I'm looking up and down the hallway for who it is that's calling out. And there sits Shirley in front of the nurse's station, and she's just sitting there. And I'm like, well, whoever it was that was calling out must have been helped by someone, because they've quieted now. So I turned my back to go back into finishing up what I was doing. And I again hear this lady screaming out, take me home, please, please take me home. And I turned around and it was Shirley. Well, I hadn't heard Shirley's voice in 3 years. She had been on my unit. She as a matter of fact, she used to volunteer and bring magazines and things to the other residents before her Alzheimer's, had proceeded to that point. But then she had been on our unit for like 5 years, and I remember when she was talking and getting around better. And then all of a sudden there was this 3-year period where she didn't speak at all. But I approached her at that point because I was shocked. It was the first time I had heard her voice in 3 years. And I stroked her arm and I said, Miss Shirley, I said, who are you talking to that you want to take you home? And she pointed in the direction of the woman's room that was actively passing, and she said, look at the angels, aren't they beautiful? So she was seeing, and of course I looked down the hallway. At first I didn't see anything, but I turned my second sight on. I call it look, and I looked again, and I could see the loved ones that had come to collect the woman and the angels just bulging out of the wall into the hallway, which is what Shirley was seeing. And she herself passed about 3 months later. So the way that I see them sometimes with their spirit when they do have Alzheimer's is it's kind of like their shoulders, their spiritual shoulders are at eye level. So they ride above, they're not totally in their body. They kind of ride above their body. So they're kind of half in and half out is the way that I see them when I look at them. Not always, but most of the time they're not fully aligned in. But just so that people know, if they do have a family member with some kind of Alzheimer's, their soul is intact. It is not the soul that is affected adversely by the disease. It's the physical body. So when they do cross over, they're very aware, and again, it's because the soul is intact. So
I love that. Could you repeat that one more time, Lynn? There's so many people that are suffering right now with not only the disease, but with loved ones with that. And I just really want to emphasize, a little bit about that spiritual, because so many people find it so hard to deal with. I tell them, the same thing is for coma. And again, not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm not an attorney. I'm not any of these things. I'm me, and this is my opinion, and this is my theory, and this is based on life experience and things that have worked for me. Prove me wrong with science. So, as far as talking to people in a coma or whatever, like my son was in one, I read him entire novels while I was there, and spoke to him just like, and anybody that came in spoke to him like he was there, not about him, not just his name and a number and all this other, no, speak to him, don't yell at him, speak to him, and that's the way it was handled. And I just highly recommend doing that too with Alzheimer's. And music from their past, smells from their past, perfumes, any of the senses, just stimulate the senses, get them warm, body lotion, body butter, warm it up and massage their hands and their feet and sing songs to them that are familiar to them. Hit all the senses. Don't just give up because it's hard. There's the person's in there. And I think what Lynn is about to repeat again is that you have to understand what's happening there. Their soul is not, you see what I mean? But their spirit, and what I meant by half here and half there, is just that, because I believe they are kind of communicating back and forth, and their soul is intact and clear as a bell. And I can tell you this, when they cross over and they heal, they lose all of that mess. They're right back to where they were before.
Yep.
It's like 35, 40 years old, whatever their time. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lynn.
No, it is that it's left behind with their bodies, like all of the other negative stuff that you kind of leave behind with your bodies here on Earth. But it is intact in the sense, and you're right too, with what you said, Sysco, where they are like half in and half out. That's why when I see them, their soul is aligned, like their shoulders are where their eyes should be, if they were fully engaged and within their bodies. And that's kind of, how it is. And of course, with the medical field, and Michelle I'm sure would agree with me. I mean, every time somebody, says that they see a ghost or something, they run and get meds for them because they think they're hallucinating, and
or UTI.
yeah, UTI. That's right. Exactly. And it just, and also, and then on the other spectrum with mental illness, if they're hallucinating, they have a whole different bracket of meds. They've got the lithium and the Ativan, and then you've got the Seroquel and the Buspar for the older people. So, it's run and get a pill, and pharma likes that. So, but don't even get me started on pharma. That's a whole new show. And I want
that's a Rumble show, baby.
Yeah.
That's when we cross over to Rumble, we start attacking big pharma, because don't think I won't. Don't think I won't. So, because that's the thing. Go after the cause and heal that if you can. And I'm telling you, there's plenty of stuff out there. Research it. Don't just take the white coat, take the guidance. But like I say with everything, do your research. It's important stuff. And people get this thing, and no offense to anybody in the field whatsoever, but I got no problem firing a doctor. When my son was in the hospital, it was like, excuse me, what did you just say? Well, we're going to do this. And why? Well, you don't need to know. No, you're fired. Next. Are you serious? Yes. Next. And I mean, you can do that. And
yes, you can.
You can absolutely have an advocate in there for you. If you need a medical attorney, you can do that as well. If you need things explained to you before they give them something, look it up. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I did that. I would change a bandage in front of a nurse. I said, look, I can do, honey, I got stuff in my purse better than that. Come on now. And I mean, it's just, maybe it's 1 in 20, but that 1 in 20 comes in and gets, and you don't know what they're going through. And I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying this is important. You can't we've gotten so used to just handing stuff over. These two ladies here, if you got lucky enough to get the kind of care and loving kindness from the hearts and hands of these two ladies, you were a lucky individual. But I'm telling you, I've seen the opposite. I've seen the opposite. And before we go much further, there was questions in here about, what is a light worker? I would consider a light worker as anybody who has, just, you don't even have to have an ability, just a good gut instinct and an intuitive, but you work within the light in some capacity. You're a candy striper, you're Meals on Wheels, you're somebody that volunteers to, help somebody on their farm, you're the person that goes and sits with the elderly and listens to them tell stories. You're all those things. Then you can add the flavors to it, right? So you can have abilities, you could be an empath, you could be a psychic, you could be a medium. All of these are different things. And that's what I kind of started this with the labels, because again, most people hesitate. If you ask me, I'm like sensitive, but I have medium abilities, but then I'm really good at communicating with the dead, harder time with the living. What does that make me?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, is if you're sitting in this room right now and you're coming to listen to this, you are a light worker. You're either an anchor or, there's a list of things, but you are. But yeah. Anyway, Michelle, you have a gorgeous smile, sweetie. And I'm just
the light in here is just amazing, isn't it? And I just know that we're going to be just, so powerful as a team. And that's why I want to get Steph in here from Get Spooky Society and everything else, because here's the thing. We also have this paranormal network around the globe. And, the more familiar we are with each other, our energy is etched in our consciousness now. And it's the minute, our spirit guides know each other because they're together now going, hey, this is fun. And they know that they can contact each other and go, all right, there's a family here there's a broken heart here, or somebody who needs to hear this, somebody needs assistance over here, and we'll be able to connect into each other so much faster now.
Yep.
And that's all part of it. Go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle, are you going to be doing readings tonight, or what is your plan?
No, I wanted to come on here and talk to you about end of life and experiences, because I know, when you work in facilities or even people's homes for that matter, but you hear of, because I did agency nursing for a while too, for a few years. And it didn't matter where I traveled to. It was always the same story. There was the doctor with the medicine bag going into someone's room prior to their passing.
There's one question that just popped up, and I do want to talk to you about that. But yes, whoever said that they had the son with schizophrenia, yes, you're on the right track. So, and there's a long story with that. That could be another show. But I have seen attachments on people with mental illness, especially those with schizophrenia. The difference between the attachments on somebody with schizophrenia versus somebody with an addiction is schizophrenia usually. They're not invited. There's usually some type of trauma that occurs where there's a crack of what I take this term from Sysco, crack in their windshield, which is their auric field that enables these things to invade. Whereas a person with an addiction, the attachment is invited by the behavior. So it's a little bit different, but yes, please Google some of my shows on mental illness that I've done with Dr. Jerry Marvinsky. It'll explain a lot, or reach out to me, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that. So, but anyway, I'm sorry, Michelle.
There you go, RP. Go ahead, RP. That she's talking to you, sweetie. So connect into that. Is that on Monnet.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go there, sweetheart.
There's an email way for you to get in touch with me, and I can talk to you about that. So yeah, I want to give Michelle an opportunity here because I'm enjoying her too. But did you have a question, Michelle? You were talking about something. What was it that you were asking?
Well, I feel like, first of all, have you encountered yourself seeing this doctor with the medical bag, or heard of that anywhere you have worked around healthcare? Is that familiar to you too? I'm in Kentucky, and that's where I'm used to, this being told. So I'm really, I think it's really cool to see. And also, going back to where we were talking about, how like they can travel in and out of their consciousness,
yes,
back and forth. I have some interesting things that have been happening the past year with my dad as well. I would like to talk about because he is still living. He does not have Alzheimer's. However, he does have cirrhosis of the liver. And every time that his his toxins, his enzymes, the CO2 levels, everything starts increasing. He gets in a lot of confusion. And during those times, he is like an Alzheimer's dementia patient or person. And so when he's like that, there have been many times that we have literally seen my stepmom too. So it's not just myself, that she has seen his spirit traveling, and I have too, throughout the house. And he will tell us when he's in his right mind. Before he went to the nursing home, we cared for him for a year here at the house. He just went to the nursing home, but he would tell us, "No, I know what's in the refrigerator. I was in there. I saw it," and he couldn't walk. He was seeing. He knew what was in the refrigerator. He knew what was in the freezer. He knew these things. There's no way, because he had not walked, period, since he'd been home.
Yep, I agree with you. What happens when those toxin levels go up like that is it puts them closer to death in that sense, because it's an imbalance in the system. Therefore, they are able to have that rallying stage, but yet it's not their time to go yet. So they can leave their body, so to speak, and kind of like a person with a near-death experience, if that makes sense. Yeah. And they do come back, and they are talking about things, like you were talking about the refrigerator. Some people will talk about, seeing people on the other side, or talking to somebody about babies that are supposed to be born that haven't been born yet, and they come back with this information, and it's very, very unfortunate that the medical field, and I say this now because I have just retired as a nurse, so they, what are they going to do? Come and take my license? Have at it. It's just one less thing for me to have to pay for, but I'm going to tell the truth now. You know what I'm saying? Here. So it's just everything. They treat the mental issues, the physical issues, but there's that spiritual, energetic realm that they do not treat. The doctors come through with their little checklist of things, they check off, the blood work, and then the x-ray, and then from there they do the MRIs, and they do the EKGs and all of the stuff based on whatever it is that they come with, and they check it off as they go. Nothing is really, it's not personalized in the sense, so to speak, in the sense that, what is the word I'm looking for? Maybe that's not the correct way to say it. They start off with their checklist and they get to a point where when they finally find something that works, they stop. They don't fix the problem. They medicate
squashes the symptom is basically the thing. And that's been the problem, because just even with kids, I mean, you can go back in what we're calling Alzheimer's now. We used to back in the day, call it senile. Oh, he's gone a little senile. He's getting a little titched in the head. There's grandma. She goes away sometimes. She'll be back in a minute. And we just kept it on the front porch and gave it a cocktail and kept an eye on it. I mean, it was just, now everything is medicated, and it's this, and it's put them in a nursing home and let somebody else take care of it. And if a white coat with a pad says, take this, and it keeps them quiet, well, there it is. So you know how you can tell that? Go back. One of the reasons I homeschooled my sons is you go in during the day, right before lunch, and see the line coming out of the nurse's office to get the medications, and how many kids are on Ritalin and ADD. This one's got ADD. Just give them something to shut them up, stick them in the back of the corner, so we can have 50 kids in the classroom. And we don't have to talk to any of them. Right. And if they speak up or disagree, they're a problem. So we'll give them something else to keep them quiet. No, you're not drugging my kid. Yeah. So that's the whole point. So don't be, if you're a parent, the best advice I can give you is don't just go with one recommendation. And if you can get yourself a good old country doctor who doesn't believe in all these shots and shutting, and hushing up a symptom instead of going after what's causing it, you do the research. This is your child, and you don't have the time, look, research it. You'll be surprised what you can find out. Say it again. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, so on that note, Sysco, so I can say I am an example. This is why I am a retired nurse. I trusted doctors. I was in a very rare accident. I had an NDE, OBE, couldn't walk for 2 years. Went through, at first I went through a lot of therapy for about a year to walk again, but then that failed, and it was almost immediate. I went back into where I couldn't walk, and I was bedfast for 2 years. Now, the thing is, I had to have, I can't say because I'm on a gag order what the product was, but I'll tell you, I had several medical devices implanted. I was only supposed to, I was only told one. And they put several while I was under a team of surgeons. Okay. I thought because I am a nurse, they're going to take care of me. They're going to do me right. They're going to make sure that they keep me informed, that I know what's going on. And let me tell you something. Read between the lines the best that you can, okay?
I'm tracking you. Go ahead. I'm tracking you.
Just a few weeks after the surgery, again, at this time, I had no idea that I had more than one of this device. And what happened was I had to have this device, they said, because, well, I can say this. I was in an elevator crash, okay? And it jarred my insides. Like, it literally ripped and tore my internal organs, and some of them were on top of each other, okay? So they inserted a device in me that was supposed to adhere to my tissue over time internally to help raise everything to where things weren't just like they shouldn't be. Okay. So what happened was it was a fairly new product. And of course, I worked Alzheimer's unit. I did not know much about that product. Okay. So, but again, I expected the surgeons to take care of me because I'm a nurse, right? To tell me everything I need to know. Okay. And when I should have researched it more, but I trusted them. See, that's what we should never do. That's what Sysco's saying. So what happened was a few weeks after I had this surgery, and it had already began to harden. So I actually found out I had, okay, this is going to go in other areas, but my husband at that time cheated on me a lot. Okay. And I started noticing that I was smelling like death.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I was smelling like death. I thought I had contracted something from him. And so I went to my gynecologist office, which was the same people. There were 3 of them there that inserted. Lynn, you're probably going to know what I'm talking about. Just don't say it because I'll get in trouble. But there were 3 of them at that gynecologist office that inserted this or these devices in me. Well, what happened was while I was there, they were, doing like a vaginal swab and all that stuff. And the midwife, nurse practitioner, she had got a really funny look on her face. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I contracted something. Okay. That was my, because again, I knew nothing about this product. And so then all of a sudden she left and out of the room, and my husband at that time was in the office with me. Okay. And so, because I made him go, I thought he was the reason for this. Go. But anyway, when she left out, we both realized there was something going on. It was really something really scary, and all of a sudden I felt liquid. Okay, I'll put it that way, coming from my private area. And so I felt down there, and it felt like, how can I say this? It felt like steel metal
Oh, geez.
in my
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about now, Lynn.
Mhm.
Okay. So and I asked her, she came back to the room and I said, "Oh my God, what's happening? What is this? What's going on? What is this?" She said, "You just have BV, which is vaginal, I'm sorry, bacterial vaginosis. I can't even say it. Bacterial vaginosis." So I was like, but what am I feeling? What is that? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Now, these are people I trusted, right? Okay. So what had happened was, at that time, I didn't understand, but a product they had put in more than what they were supposed to. They were only supposed to put one in. Okay. So they put more in. They're not telling me at this point that, hey, you know, something has messed up with the products. Something went wrong. Instead, they say, "We don't know what you're talking about." And it's evident. I mean, you can't miss it.
And it's happening to so many people,
Yes,
Michelle. It's happening, and that's why I'm saying that people need to. We've moved away from where the country doctor used to come and sit on the bed and explain to everybody what's going on and what's the best care, and we'll keep an eye on it, to where you're going into these urgent cares or whatever, and half the time you don't even see the same people. And here's Michelle, she knew the people, and still they mess up, and they're so afraid of malpractice or this or that, or to go against what they've already said that they were going to push, whether it's a prescription or a product or whatever. Because again, if you don't know how the medical field works, it's all about, incentives, and that's money, and it's trips, and it's moving up the ladder. So you have to care more about yourself and not just hand your stuff over. And I would say that goes for kids too. I'm not saying that if you had a child and they were actually had an issue and you're given a medication and that's working, that's fabulous. I would absolutely research the medications. I would absolutely research the side effects, and I would understand more about what my kid's going through. And I would try all the things, whether it's, ADD or this or schizophrenia or whatever, and get outside help and instruction and talk to parents and caregivers that have gone through this too. Pick up every bit of, look, do you think it was easy for me? I mean, listen, I'm going in there. I have no idea. I am not a neurologist. My adult son was told he had a brain injury. And when he came out of, this is what you get. Well, we don't know. The brain is the brain. The brain's going to do what the brain's going to do. We have to wait for the swelling to go down. We have to wait for this to go down. We're not going to do anything until this happens. And then we're waiting. Well, what's the best process to do this? They're not telling me what's the best environment. What's the best process that for me to do while they can't be in the room. Well, nothing. We're going to come in. We're going to give 10 minutes of physical therapy. This is what we can do. So no atrophy on the muscles. Well, I had to step up and say to the physical therapist, would it be helpful if he had that 20-minute thing you're doing every hour on the hour around the clock? She said, of course it would, but we don't have the time. I do. Show me.
I know that's right.
You have to do this. Yeah. You have to do this. What are you giving him? Wait, what is that? What's the prescription? Let me see the label. They're putting it in your kid, in your son, your person. You go and look at this stuff. Stop trusting people because they have a badge of any kind.
Right. Or that authority. Yeah, that authority.
And I'm getting a lot of questions. I love the story. Michelle, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just felt like I had to because of the questions I was getting in here, because of the flow of the energy as well. And I just wanted to not make parents worry or make somebody else worry about.
No,
what Michelle is saying is that she went through all this and thought she could trust because she knew the people. And that's how much you I'm not saying don't trust anybody. I'm saying don't blindly trust anybody.
That's right. You have to advocate for yourself. Michelle, I'm so sorry that you went through that. I can tell you what, on a personal note, not just a medical note, I had something similar happen, not to me, My mother had a full abdominal hysterectomy. And I remember going into her bathroom at one point and I noticed that she had her laundry on the floor and that her panties were soiled. Now, this was past a point that it should have still been doing that. She should have been fully healed at that point. So I went to her, I said, Mom, you had your hysterectomy like 4 months ago. Why are you still, you don't have a cervix or anything anymore. Why are you having drainage from there? So come to find out, long story short, we went to this doctor over and over and over again. He would check her. Finally, I took her to the health department because it was on a day when her doctor's office was closed, and I had them look at her. And all of a sudden, this woman says, oh, well, this is the problem. And she went in with these snippers and pulled out these green wires that they had protruding into her feminine canal that was ripping her skin in there, causing her to have drainage. But yet this whole time, I'm taking her back to the doctor over and over again, and they're checking her, doing a pelvic exam. And they're saying, oh, no, everything looks normal. Everything looks fine. I'm sorry. Green wires in a vagina are not normal. Not to get graphic and gross.
That should be a t-shirt. That should be a t-shirt. Green wires in a vagina are not normal. Amen, brother. So, all right. So that's on that scale. And what the whole time you guys are telling me this, I'm thinking about Michelle's doctor who's walking in and out. I'm wondering, Lynn, did you not have someone similar? It may not have been a doctor with a bag, but I know you had the little old man who didn't want to cross because of his ex-wife and his mistress was up there together. But didn't you have, because this is ringing a bell with me, and I don't know if it's a doctor that's going in and he's just performing rounds, Michelle, because when you were speaking it, I was pulling off your energy, and I'm almost hesitant to say what I was picking up before Lynn comments on that, and I wanted to, before I lose it, I wanted to jump back if that's cool. Yeah. Lynn, did you have anybody like that? It's, similar
spirit wise?
Yeah, to like go in and like obviously a ghost of someone who would be perceived as a doctor that was just going into checking beds. Yes. Was there anything, Michelle, like that person would then soon die soon after or something? Okay, yes. That's what I thought. Like the cats that go.
Like, oh, I just,
okay.
Everyone's saying, oh my gosh, I just saw the doctor with the bag,
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm thinking, Lynn. That's exactly what I was picking up the energy. Lynn, what did you want to say on that?
I'm saying, yes, I've seen that happen before. It's usually like a couple of weeks before, sometimes on rare occasions, but I see a lot of everything, and being a death doula with the end of life care thing, I'm kind of more there for like the hours to minutes, but being in end of life care in the sense of geriatric care, I mean, I would see they would be talking about things even as much as a year in advance, of some of their time to pass, and some very beautiful things were said too. But I've seen a lot of things, some things that you wouldn't want to see, with patients that have actually chosen not to cross over, that were a little bit not very nice. Let's put it that way. Some of them.
So sorry, Sarah. Yeah. I'm so sorry. That's the thing, is like, I don't want to assume I know everybody's situation, because I don't. But if you have an insurance where you can get a second opinion, if you don't, so many years I worked on, I paid the copay and paid my way if I didn't have insurance. I found country doctors, I did whatever. I'm like, look, I just need diagnosis. Tell me what's wrong with me. I got herbs for this. I just got to that point, and I had plenty of times I signed AMA, against medical advice, especially when I was going through the spider stuff with the brown recluse. You just don't even know. But that going through all of that is, and again, what Michelle's gone through, what Lynn's gone through. I also wanted to mention real quick too, that's very much like if you ever hear stories about the cats, or that might be in a nursing home or whatever, where that the cat will go in and be in the room with, or on the bed of the person that's going to leave. Now,
Yes.
why is this? We've got spirits that are coming in, kind of almost like a harbinger, an announcer of, we're crossing over. We've got animals that pick up on it, because we have stories about dogs, we have story about cats. I think there was even a squirrel at one point that senses this. What are they sensing? And I also wanted to touch on the fact that you guys had beautiful ways of explaining how kind of like they're going a little bit here. And Lynn, you did a wonderful explanation of how their soul is still attached, but it's kind of above, like it's almost pulling out, but it's still attached, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it's not their soul leaving, that, it's their mind. I think that's very important to put that way. But I also want to point out that when my elders said it, the Native American is so simple. It's like, if they're half there, if they're half gone from here, they're half over there. And that's exactly what they meant. They could go back and forth. And they talked about that with the Bigfoot. They talked about that with, elementals in the woodland. They talked about spirits with us too. And that's one of the reasons I think that different Native tribes, whether it be here in the Americas or anywhere you want to pick around, tribal, it doesn't matter if it's in Japan. There was always something very, how do I put it? It was a reverence to the elderly. There was a reverence to those that gained that, not just time on this globe, but the wisdom that was gathered through their journey. And it was held up high, and it was kept. Look, we just watched the Waltons the other day, the homecoming during our little Christmas marathon, and people lived together. They had the grandparents lived in the house. They helped raise the kids. They helped answer questions that the kids had. They helped with, homework, math, or whatever, can you imagine today? But, all that kind of stuff. There was a usefulness. There was a reason. There was no throw them away at the end of life kind of thing. And the same thing with the early on with kids. It's like when we have to get up, we have to, listen, if we were more of a tribe and people living together, you wouldn't have to have your kid in daycare. You would have somebody at home, Aunt, May, or, grandma's out there doing the snap peas on the front porch with her cocktail. And, little Jimmy's running around the front, and he's getting his knees dusted off by somebody who loves him. And, somebody else is, watching him, making sure this is going on. So if we could get back to that, I think when they started separating us and separating families and telling everybody they had to live by themselves in a McMansion, the amount of people, show me chat in the chat, the amount of people that are two people living in a McMansion with 40 rooms, 4 stories, a pool, tennis courts. Now, look, I'm not saying you shouldn't own these things and you've earned them, but how did we start evaluating our presence here on earth by the things we owned instead of the deeds we did and the people we were?
Yeah.
Girl,
Because
this
is that not where the problem is?
This is about 6 additional shows.
I'm telling you. But this is where spirit's moving me to. It's like once they started separating everything out, having somebody else raise our kids, somebody, it used to be one person in the family could go out and earn enough to get the car, to have a little vacation, to get the house and everything else. They have separated us. So we have to sage against this machine, and get back together, even if it's a hand-picked family that you've gathered together because everybody cares about the kids and the elderly, and you don't have to worry about if you can't get your garbage can to the curb that day because you got the flu. Somebody's got your back, and you're going to get theirs when you can. And when we start getting back to that structure, instead of everybody's got to be off by themselves, and here's your kid that he's asking too many questions. He's a little rambunctious. He's doodling when the teacher's talking. Medicate him. Grandma, grandpa got he wandered down the gate to go, walk down the corner or whatever. And we're a little worried he can't make it anymore. Let's lock him up in a nursing home and go visit him twice a year. How did we get here?
Yeah,
Because if you're talking about compassion and love and light and putting love and light back in the world, we have got to use our light to fight against this darkness that they've convinced us that we are the value of the things that we have accrued during life. You are not what you drive. You are not where you live. You are not what you wear. You are not that $5,000 Coach purse walking past homeless veterans on the street. For the love of God, how did we get here?
amen to that.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think that we're going to be starting to head back towards that. I think that
The
with the
pendulum's
shift,
this way.
it is, well, especially things have gotten so expensive. Kids can't afford to move out.
Yep.
And we can't afford to put our parents in places, not that. So I think that all of that community and all of that is going to start coming together,
And
especially.
trade and
Yep.
and value someone's
Yep.
craftsmanship and wisdom and the wisdom that they've accrued
Yep.
over time. I mean, it took you ladies decades to come up with the knowledge that you have in just caring for another individual and the medicate forget it, start bringing in the medications and stuff. But here, every single person in this chat, every person listening has a skill, has a trade, has a something they really care about, something they're really good at. I don't care if it's biscuits. You know what I mean? Everybody's got something that they're really, really good at. And I would venture to say dozens of things. And we're not giving each other the credit either, because I'll tell you something else that came along. And this is when you start realizing the psyops that are pulled on people, the magic doesn't work anymore, right, ladies? Once you see the spell, it no longer works. You've kind of vanquished it. You're rebuking it because you've overpowered it with your light and your knowledge and the I see you. So when you realize that they not only started soap operas to sell soap, they started soap operas to make housewives miserable and feel like they did not measure up and they weren't pretty enough. Their high heels weren't high enough. The crease in their collars weren't white enough. Their dishes weren't cleaned enough. The coffee wasn't good. The whole thing was just battering, the housewives that were home watching these things. Like, look, all these people are going, here's, Miss Got Rocks, and she's changed her outfit 8 times. And how come you don't? Look at you, you're still in curlers and you're burning the meatloaf and your husband's cheating on you because your coffee's no good. I mean, it literally did this grinding. And now it's even bigger because all these young people have this false sense of, like 90210 syndrome, where we're just going to run back and forth and everybody's going to, we're going to go meet them over at the coffee shop. And then we're going to go over at the mall. And then we're going to go meet them at the theater. And do these people not have jobs? Do you see what I'm saying? So anybody that has a job, that kid can't figure the math out and the biscuits are burning and, you got to go pick up somebody at football. Holy crap. No wonder you feel like you're insignificant. And then you just sit there and the world doesn't have to batter you anymore. You do it to yourself. Let's come out of that and realize that whole thing is a psyop to sell soap and make you buy more makeup and Calgon Take Me Away and Maybelline and dye your hair and all of this crap, while Johnny Jump Up has got his tie and his white collared shirt and out there slapping the secretary's ass. And you wonder what happened, right? So then women thought that, okay, I want to go slap a secretary's ass, so I'm going to leave the home and let somebody else. Do you see where I'm coming from? Instead of grabbing a hold of that guy's tie and bring him in here and let me tell you something, this family's going to stick together, and for better or worse, and you better hold up your side of the, or I'm going to tie it in a knot. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And you hold that family together. No, now what it is, it's disposable. Everything's disposable. Get another car, get another this, get another kid, get another, you know what I'm talking about there. Yeah. This isn't good enough. I'm going to change. No, you're good enough. You're talented. All the things that you feel are out of whack. It's because they are. It's because they are. And light workers, we're here tonight to touch in with each other and to also help you guys realize that you have abilities that have probably been covered up. You've been told you're crazy, that you don't hear voices, or the cardinal that landed on your windowsill really wasn't Aunt May telling you it's going to be a great day. Look, stop letting other people tell you what you are and what you're worth. If you are a light worker, you chose this before you were ever born, and we need you. We need that light. And there's so much darkness out there. One little candlelight will wipe out so much darkness. So you can't let the world batter you down, whether it's medical, whether they're lying to you. Everything we're going to tell you here tonight is you are responsible for your choices. You are responsible for sticking up for yourself. Do not cave into these sumbitches anymore. I love you. Okay. I need some hot water, ladies. I made a tiny little video that explains a little bit about light workers and empaths and psychics, and then I'm going to shut up and let y'all visit. And I'm going to get some more hot water. So if you don't mind, about 2 minutes. Are you okay with that little quick video?
Yes,
good.
I need a break too. That would be great.
Sure. And just, and some hot water. And if you, at any time, if you need to just click out and go we'll wait for you to come back. We'll talk. It's okay. And go get you some cookies. Get you the good cookies. All right, here we go. A little bit about light workers, everybody. Hopefully that helps you a little bit in deciding if you feel like you lean a little bit more towards one label or the other. But as I started this episode tonight, I started it with talking about labels and how, it's very hard for us to pick one of those, because here's what I think, and I could be wrong. I often am. It's not so much that we're uncomfortable with the label. I think it's because we fluctuate between so many of the labels. It's like, are you a psychic? Well, not today, but last week I totally got a vision of something that I knew was going to happen, and it did. So does that make me a psychic, or does it? So here's the thing. What I want to say tonight in this part of the program is, try to stay away from the labels and go with what you're feeling. Like, if you're getting the voice inside your head that tells you, don't leave that cup there, something's going to happen. Listen to that intuition, do it, and then acknowledge that you did. Okay, I'm going to listen to my intuition. You say it out loud, you say it in your head, because you're affirming that. And you're telling your guides that you're paying attention, and they're going to go, oh, good, she's finally paying attention. Oh, took so long. And then the next time, just like seeing an angel number or something else. And once you start doing that and exercising that intuitive muscle, it'll start coming a little bit more. And just because, you might be, say, get prophetic dreams or something along that line, it doesn't mean that tomorrow you're not going to get a full-on communication with some dead guy who's come along, and now your intuitive muscle is starting to work and the path is clear for that person to get in a message, and something else new pops up. And I wonder, ladies, did that happen to you? It didn't all just happen and hone in one day. It's over time, is it not? Michelle, you want to take that? You look like you know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it started out when I was a child. I had premonition dreams. So, like, and I had in-time dreams. But I had a lot of those where I was bicycling, and these when I say dreams, these would reoccur for like several years. So I had like prophetic dreams of things that have already came to pass now, some that still have to come to pass. I saw myself. I had recurring dreams for 3 years from age 5 to 8 of being in an elevator fall. Then it happened, later on. That's the kind of things that it started out with. Also, there were a lot of nights that I would, like, I had probably about 30 stuffed animals stuffed around me every night. And still at 3 a.m., I would be screaming for my real mom to come in there, because either I would see an entity standing over me, but usually I would hear. I would hear, not talking to me, but I would hear them breathing, like bending over the bed, breathing, and I would cover my head and just leave my nose barely to get out of the cover. That's the kinds of things that I experienced when I was little. As the years progressed, when I actually first heard my name being called and being talked to, like clairaudient, I was 18 years old. I remember I was being awakened because I was oversleeping. And the spirit said, Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. And I woke up and it was like, and then, and that was a male voice. And then from that point, I would just, experience the various that I had experienced up until that point here and there, like you're talking about. Well, then as time went on, then I started seeing more visuals, like visions. The dream visions turned into visions when I'm awake. And then so it's never the same. It's, even when I do readings for people, like when I do personal readings, I'll go into meditation. Sometimes I might see the person. Sometimes I may not. I might hear the person and have to describe what I feel and sense, how old they may be, or, things like that. It's never the same. And then after the NDE, it's crazy, but I came back enhanced, doing things that I never thought were even possible. That's
very common. It's very common. Almost like when you go into the spirit world, it's almost like you bring a little bit of it back with you, don't you, Lynn?
Yep, that's true. That is very common.
It's very common. I think it's wonderful how you're describing it too, Michelle, because if anybody's listening in, the chat, I don't want anybody to get into things like, okay, well, that must not be something because that's not the way it happened last time. It doesn't necessarily. What's happening is over time, your psychic you is actually creating these trusted filters. So over time, those things will be happening as well. And I wanted to ask you guys, if you guys hear an audible outside of your head, is it mostly one side or the other? And is there a difference between the two for you? Because there is for me. And it took a long time for me to get there. And I was wondering if that happened to you guys. Because you're saying you're hearing people call your name, Michelle. And I know Lynn's heard this too. Are you hearing it in your right side of your head all at once, like an all around surround sound kind of thing? Or is it coming in one side or the other, right in the middle? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
you know
different.
what? I haven't really paid attention
Is
to
that something?
Yeah, I'm going to start paying attention to it. I know I get frequency changes in the right and left ear, but like when I hear my mom come through like a megaphone, she just comes through like a megaphone. I'm like, oh,
Right.
it's
And
mom,
it's different.
you know?
It's almost right here, with those different loved one individuals or ones that are familiar that have come through before. With me, it's the right side is always good. It's always a spirit guide. It might even be someone on a lower vibrational realm, which would be here. So an earthbound spirit, not necessarily bad. So when you say they're earthbound, that does not mean they're bad or they've done anything bad or anything like that. That's just astigmatism we got to get rid of. They're
just
here.
haven't crossed over.
They just haven't crossed over. So I will get those too. But man, if it comes this way, that's not good. And it's always a different vibration and it's a lower rattle for me. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like if you ever been to a concert, you got real close to the speakers and you can feel it vibrating inside you, all the fluid and everything, because we're so much water. We're like, what, 70%? We're vibrate from the inside out. It's like that kind of rattle is what I mean. So it'll come real low. But I always feel that before I ever hear it. But there have been times where I've been awoken from that side and I won't, nope, I'm not looking. You gotta go, and I'll just start rebuking it then. But, again, and it's also, I want to say this before nights, because there's a lot of people that don't really know me in here. Please do not assume that all light workers are like me. I am a light worker. I am dressed all in black. Yes, I'm very scary. I'm ex-military. I'm a boy mom, and I just don't give a shit anymore. So I am one of those people. I am a light worker, but when you send me in, we're getting things done. I don't BS. I don't care about the evidence as much as I care about what I'm dealing with right here, and whatever I'm here to do, what my spirit guides brought me to do, this is what we're doing. And I bring everything with me. So I don't get into conversations about this one, that one. I bring them all. My Savior is Jesus Christ. My first and foremost right in front of me is Archangel Michael. If you have a problem with that, let me tell you something. You won't at 3:00 in the morning when you call me and I bring my gang to fix whatever problem you got yourself into. So that's it. There are different kind of light workers. I'm a different kind of light worker where my light it's got like a lot of rock and roll gel on it. Let's just put it that way. But it's very bright. And when
Sysco's
people call me, we get it done. But I just don't BS around, and I don't sugarcoat stuff. And I'm here to tell you the truth. And that's the whole reason I've got the Rumble channel too, because we're going to start really telling you some truth over there. And I want everybody to get over there. And now again, I have to say the words right. Follow and subscribe. Follow is free. Subscribe is a membership. So it's different than YouTube, and it's not going to catch you up in anything. Rumble is free, and it's also free speech is why we're getting over there. Actually, I do not get paid for them. I do not monetize other people's work, but I can show you movies over there, and that is a learning tool for us. So if I can show you, say, like The Others, or I can show you Sixth Sense, and we can stop it and talk about it, what a learning tool that is, and I don't have to worry about copyrights or anything because I'm not getting money off of it. However, we are demonetized on YouTube because Sysco has a big mouth and I'm tired of keeping it shut. So YouTube has demonetized me and I'm fine with that because I don't do this for the money, but it does cost. So if you want to give something to these wonderful guests and, this show and keep this kind of paranormal truth going, because listen, not every time the board creaks is it a demon, but there could be one in your closet. I'm not saying they don't exist.
Oh, they exist, all right.
But we got to straighten some of this BS out, where everything is this or that, or everything that bangs your cabinet is some horrible thing, and you have to pay people to come and stop all this.
Yes,
because we have got to get back to the feeling, to the heart, to the core of this, because if you are a light worker and you chose to be here right now, you are feeling that this world is in turmoil, and you are obviously involved in some kind of spiritual warfare, even if you can't quite place it yet, and you're feeling a lot of burden, like a burdensome, weight on you right now. The knowledge of what we're telling you tonight can help loosen that weight. You don't need to carry that weight. Let it go, and just ground into nature again, whatever that might mean for you, whether it's a guided meditation tape, whether it's hugging a tree, whether it's taking your shoes off and running in the snow or the grass, wherever you may be.
So
getting back to nature. It's so important. You forgot to do that during the holidays, which is why you feel washed up. So I'll shut up now, ladies. Take it away. We've got a good half hour to share experiences and, all of these, the end of death. So many people worry so much about loved ones, especially in the holidays, and, the four-legged kind as well. And, all this, what's going on the other side. All three of us can tell you right now, and they will agree with me. Watch them shake their heads and watch Lynn go, uh-huh. You cannot kill energy. It changes like a pot boiling water. The steam goes up. Listen to me.
Damn Skippy. That's right.
Love is eternal. Love does not die, no matter how much you try to put it out. You are love. You are made of light. Okay. And you are connected to source. And nothing can take that away. It can trick you into giving it away. It can trick you into saying it doesn't mean anything to you, but here's the deal. You're still connected to source. So every time we meet somebody who's forgot that and is just looking down, they're past and they're looking down and they're scuffling along and everything else. They're so drawn and so tethered, like Jacob Marley with his chains, the forged in life. They are dragging themselves around. We have to get them to pick their heads up. And the minute they connect back into that love light, bam, they're on their way.
That's true.
So it's that simple. Connect into it while you're still here, for the love of Pete. And I'll shut up now.
That's true. Also, people, be sure to click on that notification bell. That's another big one with the arrhythmias or whatever you want
Please
to call
do. Arrhythmias. I love that.
Whatever.
Yeah. And especially on Rumble, the little bell there, you have a chance to hit instant, daily, weekly, and monthly. So make sure you've hit that bell for instant, because a lot of people are telling me they're not getting notifications, and I'm trying to put them down now so you can plenty of days ahead. I'm trying to do that. I'm working. It's just me over here and the spirits. So know that we are doing a New Year's Eve day, which is Tuesday. I'm going to start. We're going to do it about 5-6 hours. We're going to show movies and clips of New Year's gone by and some other funny stuff. And we're going to spend New Year's together. If you want to be here, champagne, I don't care what you drink it, as long as you're not driving. And that's it. And we're going to have a good time, just like we did Christmas. So don't miss that New Year's Day, and hit that like for me, please. Thank you so much. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Go ahead.
No. You're the guest on here. I'm the co-host, so I want to give you a turn to do what you do, and your beautiful smile. And yeah. Hey, you know what? One thing though, you said that you were in your 50s. I'm in my 60s, and so is Sysco, right? Sysco, but we all look damn good still. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
I can still whoop a young ass. I'm telling you right now.
I know
people say that all the time, and I'm like, man, you don't know. It's the quiet one in the room. Believe it or not, at work, I'm extremely quiet because I can't. I have to just put myself to be creative, and they have no idea. I'd be flipping people in there like crazy. This old hag and tear you up.
Badass. Yeah, she was a badass. Which reminds me, I've got some things to tell you about Bob, the elemental, the fae on the property. Some beautiful things, but that's another show that we'll do. I want to give Michelle a chance to let us get to know her a little bit more.
Okay, so where would you like for me to go with it?
Well, do you have any questions or anything else? Because you were asking something about that doctor thing, and was there anything else that you wanted to know or talk about?
Well,
Not that I know everything, but
Well, how did you see when people were crossing over, Michelle? I'd love to hear that. Like, did you have, like, Lynn has had, where she said that she saw people coming in and out of walls, she saw walls open up to a bright light, all that kind of. What were you feeling with that? And were people talking before, like they had people in the room? Why don't we get a couple of those, because that's always so affirming for people listening to that they can think of that, when they're not here. That'll give them strength to get through hard times. I'd love to hear some of that.
Yes. Okay. So there were many times, as we were saying before, Lynn, there were many times that the patients would be looking up, and they would say they see, Aunt so and so or Grandma so and so or parents or whatever floating up here, and usually, as soon as that happens, you have to have a test for UTI to see if, because UTI in the elderly can cause confusion severely.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So we would do that. Many times it was a UTI. They would have their antibiotic, and a few days later it would all stop. However, there were many times that were not. Okay, and they would continue seeing different ones of their family. And it's what's very interesting to me, as if, because it's almost like they would describe the same thing as far as them floating, being up here, or if they didn't describe it, their eyes were focused up, which is very interesting.
Yes.
So, but so I saw that. I mean, that was very common. I had one patient that, Lynn, you know how, like, a lot of times people who are really nice throughout their lives, families say that once they become once they're diagnosed with dementia or something like that, they change.
Yes.
If they were nice, then they become a hellion, or vice versa, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I had one patient that the family said she was always very, very mean, and she was that way the whole time until she transitioned. But the thing is, during her end of life, she started screaming, "I'm burning, I'm burning." And at first I'm thinking, okay, is she burning with UTI, or are we talking about hell, or are we talking about here, right? And because she would scream, "I'm burning." And so I wanted to make sure medically that, we got everything in place and made sure she didn't have a UTI, which it came back negative. There was no UTI going on. And she kept screaming, "Help me, I'm burning, I'm burning." And she would scream to the top of her lungs. I had never seen anything like that before. Again, it was one person that I've ever had an experience like that in a negative way. But she would do that. She would go back and forth, and she would just keep saying and repeating, "I'm burning." And she would scream and scream until, we'd have to give her medication to help her, to knock her out, honestly, because she would just be so frantic. And so besides that one, and she did that until she passed. I mean, it was really eerie, and I prayed for her. I didn't see anything. I can say that I did not see anything, but I could feel, and it could just be the fact that it was creepy to me that I felt something. Okay, I don't want to lie here, because it was very eerie. But now, as far as generally what I've seen a lot of people. I've seen lights, like Lynn was talking about. I can't say they were angelic. I just know that there was, like, I don't know if it was a portal, what. I didn't see. I just saw the lights coming out of the rooms. So I don't know what they were coming from, but I just know I saw big, huge, bright lights at times. Let's see what else. And of course, the doctor with the bag, that seemed to be a common thing prior. Now, there was a lot of times, a lot of the patients that I dealt with, they either did not have family members, pretty much people that had just put them in and just left, which was really sad, or they had family members that were like across country, would come in on holidays and things like that. So, but what I got really close to them, and I know healthcare, you're not supposed to be bonded like that, but you can't.
I bonded with mine too. Yeah, you can't
help it, can you?
No, you can't.
I mean,
you
it's
fall
just part of it. And so, it's like, as they were passing away, if they had family that was involved, then I would ask them if I could pray with them, because sometimes they were not in the space to ask. So I would ask the family, but for the others that didn't have family, then I would go ahead and pray, which I've gotten in trouble for. I gotten in trouble for praying with patients before. But anyways,
can you imagine such a thing? I mean, even when you're looking at like the Oregon Trail, or you're looking at the Wild West, and people, I mean, I've watched countless cowboy movies where, hardened cowboys would take their bean pan and dig out a grave and say a prayer over an individual they're putting in the ground. Can you imagine the time that we've got to, that we can't do something like that for an individual that's passing over without getting in trouble? Does that not tell you we're in a, because here's the thing. I can't imagine anybody of any faith that wouldn't, like when I was in the military, I had put no preference, because at that time you couldn't put Native American, so you would put no preference. So the chaplain would come and just give you a basic, without all the rituals and everything else. But here's the thing, that soul needs that positivity. Like when you hear these NDE stories of people that are going through and they're passing and people are praying for them, and it's like, what was it? It's a Wonderful Life with George, he could hear all the prayers being said in his name. When my son was in ICU, I don't know how it happened. I'm just going to tell this quick because somebody needs to hear it. I don't know how it happened. Nobody told me it was happening, but my wonderful nephew who is Conflict, has a YouTube channel now. If you like paranormal and the supernatural, get over there and follow him, Michael, and his wonderful wife, Christine. He had sent Christine to pick up my son in New Jersey. They were on one side of New Jersey, sent him to pick him up on the other side of New Jersey and bring him to Alabama, drive him to Alabama so he could see his brother in ICU. I didn't know what was going on. I just had, about an hour before they got there, he told me they're coming. I'm like, oh, this is great. When she got there, I said, we have to go do something. I didn't even tell her what we're doing. I didn't ask her. I just knew that she believed as I believed, and I didn't need to explain shit. When we went in there, I said, before we walk in this room, I need you to be in agreement with me that you are going to, in love, walk with me into this room. We are going to gather every breath that was spoken in his name, in his honor, for his health, in any denomination, out of love and light. And we are going to gather all of it right here, right now, with us, and put it on him. And that's the night that he went. That was at night. That was 7:00 at night. The next morning, the doctor came in, could not believe the charts, could not believe. He's asking for all kind of tests. He's asking nurses to come in and he's going out to the desk and talking to them. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? He's got a big smile, doctor in a jar, big smile on his face. He goes, what are you doing in here? And I said, we got nothing in this room but love. And he goes, what's that sound I'm hearing? I said, those are whales. I had nature sounds playing on the bed. I had, the room was just the right. I mean, it smelled like vanilla. I'm telling you, all the senses. And he says, he goes, I don't know how to explain this, but he went from basically the way he described it to me, he went from a 15% chance of making it, a 15% chance, to 85 overnight.
Oh,
he couldn't explain it. The paperwork proves it. I know exactly what did it. Prayer matters. When you speak a person's name and you give it a positivity and you give it a blessing and you give it a hope and a wish and a faith and you put that on that name, that is an energy that goes out and connects to that soul.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you something, the opposite does it too.
Yes, it does.
The opposite curse does the same thing. So you needed to hear that. There it is. And yes. I'm telling you, it's true, people.
Yeah, prayer is actually a comfort measure. when the person gets to that point, because I've even seen atheists cross over and they get to a point in their stage of advancing into that rallying stage where they also are seeing beautiful things. So, you know,
I've got
yeah,
chills.
it should be a comfort, considered a comfort measure. Unless of course the priest has bad breath, then it would not be pleasant to have somebody pray over you with garlic.
Oh my God. It took me a good 9 hours to sing my sister over. She was in a chemically induced coma, and she would not turn around and walk into that light. She had been so dimmed by the mouth of man's religion that it totally wiped out everything. And I said, look, I'm telling you, don't, all right, listen. And this is me inside arguing with her. I'm going, okay, listen, you don't have to have your own faith. Take some of mine. I believe enough for both of us. Turn the hell around, because she was so afraid to face my mother, thinking like your old man didn't want to go across because his mistress and wife were together on the other side. He didn't want to deal with that, even though he didn't realize all that's over. It doesn't matter anymore. They all agreed to it, and it was all part of it, you know. And that's what I'm trying to tell my sister. In the spirit world, you know, yeah, like Young Guns, you know, in the spirit, see that chicken. In the spirit world, I'm in there and arguing with her, telling her, just turn around. It's nothing but love, baby. Turn around. And when she finally turned around, the light was just like, it's like, did you guys know? I've got 2 medical people here that can back me up on this. You know, we can handle this with all adults here. When sperm and the egg actually gets together, there is a flash of light. Did you guys know that? There is a flash of light. There is a burst of energy and a physical flash of light that is, you can see.
Yeah,
that is life. That is a spark. That is your source. That is a life beginning right there. You understand? Anything that starts like that is not going to end with nothing.
that's true.
We chose to be here. We picked this. So stop blaming everybody else for the road you're on, because guess what? It's your own asphalt.
Yeah.
Now that's
true.
a t-shirt.
There you go. And you know, and that's part of the things that some of these alien beings and other weird things are trying to reproduce us and mix their semen with you know, human eggs and stuff like that, because they're trying to achieve that spark of which they will never ever get. Because even your heart, if you look at it under a microscope, there's, and I say synapse for lack of a better word, but there's a little trigger in there. I can't think of the name of it right now. Michelle probably knows what I'm talking about. That every time the heart beats, it emits light in that one, like a little spark in that one area. And that is from the original spark, and it stays with you your whole life. So, you know, it's just, wow.
Beautiful.
It is a beautiful, and they're just, I mean, we could talk for hours on this show of so many different things. And yeah. So Michelle, go ahead. They've heard a lot of my stories, but they haven't heard yours yet. So you keep going, girl.
Yeah, you keep going. And it is, I want you to know how important it is, because again, when we're talking to everybody out here, we're just reinforcing what we already, know, and then we're adding a couple little things, like a couple little flavors, because everybody in here is in a different consciousness level of what they're ready to accept at this time, and maybe but smart enough to know that if you don't get it right now, put it on your shelf, because later you're going to need it when you get to that point, and you're going to go, oh wow, that makes sense now. It's like, 50 years later, I'm still asking them questions. What do you see at the end? What do you feel? Because I know the first memory I have, one of the very first memories with this, was in a nursing home, standing next to my granddaddy's, my pop's bed. And everybody, all the adults in the room that knew so much were, oh, it's so sad. And, it's gone to his brain, and he's just not making any sense anymore. And he's babbling, and he's talking to people who aren't there. And he sees some hula girl in the corner and all that. And I'm looking over at Grandpa, looking at the hula girl, smiling. And I'm going, well, I see her too, Yeah. And, and why are we talking about this man like he's not here? And I knew at 6 that this was a girl that he had just, he loved my grandma, but this was a memory. And he was in the Pacific during the war. So he must have, this was a memory. And these are just memories that are coming up that he's connecting into. It's like you're peeling off of the earth, and, you're getting rid of a lot of those layers and things like that, which is why we tell you, If you don't want to be a ghost, let's get rid of them now. Let's not harbor ill will toward people. Just let them be who they're going to be. You don't want to deal with them, don't deal with them. You don't have, nobody's telling you have to. Nobody's making you go sit down at the table and have dinner with somebody because they said so. You're an adult, right?
That's true.
Stop making yourself do things that are causing you self-harm. Tell them, listen, I'm an extremely sensitive person to emotion, and I'm not emotionally equipped to deal with that right now. We're just going to put that off to next week and maybe the week after that. And that's just the way it's going to be. So there.
Yeah. Something else I'd like to add to the
Please
prayer
do.
thing is people need to understand that prayer is not about religion. Prayer is about spirituality and your personal connection. And that's where a lot of people, like in the case, Michelle, when you got into trouble, if you get somebody that comes in that's a Baptist and you're a Presbyterian saying a prayer over their loved one, you're not the one going to heaven. So they need to have a Baptist in there to do it. And it's not about that. The prayer came from the heart, which made it more effective energetically, which
Amen.
is what you're dealing with at that point in time, than that. So people need to get over that part of
Hi,
it.
Vixen.
Prayer,
absolutely.
Prayer is a gift no matter who it comes from.
Yep. And it's a kindness, and it's a frequency, and it's a vibration, and you're putting all that down. Listen, explain to me how my son healed that much. This kid, he was crushed. Are you kidding me? I mean, when they brought me in there, they told me he wouldn't know my name. He wouldn't know his name. He probably never walked. He was all the negative stuff. Well, he's, just preparing me. And I'm like, okay, next. What else you got? Next. Okay. He's going to do what God wants him to do. And nobody's going to tell him that he's not, whatever. What do you give it? What do you do? And I took control of it. You know what I'm saying? Just this side of jail. I mean, you've got to understand what you can do. I slept on the floor in his room for 30 something days. I don't think those nurses weren't happy to have me there. They didn't change his sheet. They didn't do anything. They were able to come in, walked him to the bathroom. But by the time they came back, his bed was clean. Everything was clean, and he was ready to go. I mean, you have to be hands-on if you can. Yes, I quit my job. I mean, there was no question in my mind when my manager called me up and said, well, when are you coming back? And I'm like, what part of my son is in ICU in Alabama? Are you having a hard time understanding? Click. I mean, you don't have time to deal with this stuff. You have got, look, guys, we're here one time, well, unless you're reincarnating, we're here in this time, in this life. How do you want to look back at it? Most of the time, you ask these ladies, it's not, I wish I had worked more. I wish I had done this more. It's not those kind of regrets. It's I wish I had spent more time with my family. I wish I had took my kid fishing. I wish I had cooked the cookies or made the quilt or did the things, spent the time. That's one thing that we don't get enough of is time. Spend it wisely.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. So, pretty much what ended up happening, I did not mean for my nursing career to go like this, but this is how it usually started ending up. And I started noticing a pattern and realized this was part of what I was supposed to do. So, like I said, a lot of my patients, they were just kind of dropped off and no one ever came again. So I noticed that I was actually like my day, which I had to say, I'm a workaholic. I worked all the time. I'm never off, but I worked 2 and 3 jobs. So the thing is, I wasn't there at whatever facility I was at. And again, agency too, right? So it always seemed to work out that when I was working, when someone was passing, I was there. And so it became a common thing for me that I quickly began to realize, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I would sneak and pray. I would sneak and pray after I got in trouble. I would still sneak and pray because they were alone.
A little something I'd like to share on that topic is that even if there are not physical people in the room is full. of spirit family on the other side. So to take to heart that someone has passed alone, please try to take comfort in that. They may not be there with physical people, which is difficult for some people, but they are there with so many spiritual family people that they are fine. You know, really, death should be celebrated, to be honest with you. I mean, you leave this earth and you leave your body behind and all the gunk that, you know, the sickness and anger. And
celebration of life. So many cultures do it. So many. I would love an Irish pub funeral. Put the coffin right in the middle of it. Fill the doggone thing with ice and put some gosh darn Samuel Adams in there, Boston Lagers, please, and just enjoy yourself. You know, right there with everybody. Right, and that's the whole thing. It was with the parlor. You know, in the family and it being a funeral parlor, you know, and I love what you said about that. And somebody said in the chat too, and I wanted to comment that, you know, they might have saw aliens or UFOs or things like absolutely. Yes, because when I go to a battlefield to try to cross people at the battlefield, there are bad entities, both human, some that have never been human, aliens, creatures you would have no idea what they look like. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. And they're all trying to stop you from crossing this individual because they want the suffering to continue. They're feeding on that suffering and loosh. So there's that. And then there's the good ones that they're going to see too. So you're going to see ethereal beings, tall whites, all kinds of things. Right, sweetie? Yes. Michelle, you said you look like you agree with me. Tell what you want to say it.
Yes. Listen, there are so many realms, positive and negative. And, you know, and it gets me because, you know, everybody just seems to, now when I say everybody, I'm not meaning every single person. I get it, but it's just a term of speech. But a lot of people seem to still stay focused on, oh my gosh, if it's an extraterrestrial, you know, what are we going to do? It is like, but there's positive, like I have experienced one negative extraterrestrial only because I was taken within consciousness to see, because I had such pleasant experiences with extraterrestrials. And I began believing there were no negative because they were
Night Scout, we love you.
So I literally had to be taken within consciousness while I was awake to another planet where there's like these octopus entities. But they didn't have the suction cups, so they were like smooth. Their tentacles or whatever you call them were smooth, but they were giant. They were like giant, and they moved around as if they were in water, but we were not in water. It was the strangest thing.
Sounds like some Lovecraft stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like I had such pleasant experiences with ETs. I literally had to, because I started telling my husband at the time and my family, I'm just wondering if there are any negative extraterrestrials. And as soon as I said that, boom, there I went. The spirit guide take me to, you know, I don't know what planet I was on or dimension, or I just know it was an octopus, and it was huge. It was huge.
Wow.
And it floated and it moved, even like when it sensed our presence.
Yeah.
But it was like I was told.
That's so interesting because the octopus is, you know this though, right? The octopus is so connected. Look, I'm no scientist. I'm not a microbiologist, none of that. I wanted to be one when I was a kid, but they are so close to our DNA and they are so intelligent. Octopus. The whole every section of that species is an amazing thing. So why wouldn't it? And again, one of the number one things we hear about, where everybody talks about the grays and all this kind of stuff. There's another one that people talk an awful lot about, and that's the praying mantis ones, the bug, the insectoids or whatever. Oh my gosh! And you wonder where in the world are these things? The reptilians, yeah, and the Ryans. Oh gosh, and the tall whites and all. There's so many different kinds, and that's one of the things. It's a good spot to tell you guys this, and I've said it before, that when you're on that other side and your soul group, and one night we'll get together because we're going to do this every month. This is something we're going to do, and Stephanie's going to be here with us. We're going to do this every single month so we can learn together. We're learning from each other, but the way there's so many different kinds, and you have to think about what's in this realm and why. And if you're on the other side, and you are in your soul group and you decide that you're going to reincarnate to jump in here and lift your vibration is the reason I think we do it, because we know we can go higher, right? When you decide to come back to this planet, this prison planet, Earth, you are instantly a hero to everybody on the other side, because it's the hardest place to reincarnate to.
That's
and you
true.
wonder why we have such bad days, right?
You got that right.
That's true. That is so true.
High five.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean, that's the thing, that would entail that we'd had choices, right? So if you want to say, oh, hey, I want to go to, Alpha Centauri or something, or whatever dimension. And again, we could get into parallel lives, which I believe, and split
Yes.
souls and fractured
Yes.
souls and all of
Yes.
this. And everybody just keeps trying to, this is why this podcast, I've been doing this for years, folks. And that's why, Lynn will come on, and Michelle and everybody come on here and go, this is next level, because we're not talking about the creak in the board might be, it might be saying listen, we get full on stuff from the other side. We sit the ghost down and we go, look, why are you still here? What's going on in your mind? Let's talk about this, because it's like therapy, right, guys? So if you're dealing with somebody who's passing from this life into the next, and you've got spirit guides on the other side, what Lynn is saying, what Michelle is saying, is so many different things with the individual and how they're connected and what's going on with them is why everything is so different. It's not a set pattern of in every hospital bed you're going to see this, and you're going to see an angel come and grab the hand and walk them. Maybe, but it's different each time. And what you were saying, Michelle, too, the scariest thing is what the lady was saying. She was burning and doing. Look, do you know how many people? Oh gosh, they get there and they go, oh gosh, this is now for whatever reason. I'm not saying I personally, I don't know what I believe as far as how I think that we kind of create it in a lot of ways. Is it a real place? It very well might be. I'm not here to tell you either way. I'm telling you that person, it's very real for them when they're going through it and they're being pulled down and apart or whatever. It's like Ghost when those shadows came and pulled the person down. I've seen it. I bet you these ladies have seen close to it too. Or the one that hovers over them and is trying to suck their soul out, some dark entity over the top of them while they're sleeping, and it's the weak and it's whatever, and I walk by something like that. Hey, you, what are you doing? Get out of there. And the only thing that stops them is what? Prayer. And the tools that work. So don't let anybody talk you out of that. That is one of the biggest, nastiest things that they've tried to pull on people for the past 100 years, is that the devil doesn't exist and God is a joke. Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Go ahead, ladies.
Well, actually, what I was going to say, I've changed my mind about saying, because I don't want to leave this flavor in people's mouths when we go off. This is another thing. So I'm going to have Michelle go and tell us I can tell you about that burning thing. That's why I was bringing it up, unless you absolutely want to know about it.
Oh,
yeah, please. We give the truth here. Bring it on, girl. Tell us.
A lot of times when people pass, there are spirits that have followed them throughout their lifetime, that have created havoc, and they have fed off the leash of these people, and they continue to torment the spirit when it starts to cross. And a lot of times when they don't cross, they're still followed by these, because the energy that the spirit still emits when they're having that sadness in the spirit. And let me just explain something. When people pass away, in order for them to leave the negative emotions behind with their body, they need to cross over. If they choose to stay earthbound, they keep all of their senses. They still they show what the cause of death is. Like with me, I see like a Swiss cheese appearance to wherever they've had cancer or cirrhosis of the liver. When they cross over, that all disappears and they become in more of a perfect form. They leave the negative stuff behind. But there still are some souls that there are other things in that fourth dimension that you go through in order to get to the fifth, and most of the time you just skip right over and into it. But those souls that linger on this earth that have not crossed over remain in that fourth dimension, and there are all kinds of funky things in there. And it seems like too, whenever there are ghosts, like if you go into a haunted house or something on one of those paranormal investigations, there are lost souls wandering around, but there's always an element of one darker one that's kind of manipulating everything. Those that inflict, I don't know if anybody in this room has ever been attacked by a demon. I have. I know when they lash out at you with the claws, that it feels like a hot skewer slicing through your skin to the bone, to that point. So when they mention fire, it sounds like she was being clawed by something that was standing close by, that was continuing to feed off of her, is my impression, because I've seen that happen before.
Yep.
And it does burn. Right. It does burn. And it's,
what do you hear on all these shows where they're saying, I had a burning sensation on my back, and then they lift up the shirt and then there's a burn? Because you feel the burn first, because it's happening more. I don't know how to describe it. It's something that's not physical, manifesting in the physical for a moment.
Right.
So there's the feeling of the energy almost first, the burn, before you feel the scratch.
Yes.
So that's the whole thing. What do you think, Lynn?
Absolutely. And the thing is, too, is actually some of those wounds come from the inside out. And that is why you feel the burning and then you see the scratch.
Yes.
So she could have been very well been clawed by something somewhere. And that's what she was feeling. Yes. And that's why she was feeling it and complaining of the burning. It's not necessarily that she was burning in the fires of hell. But let me tell you what, after some of this stuff that I've dealt with in the last month and a half that I'm going to talk about on a show coming up here, holy crap. I mean, we are so under attack right now from so many different realms because of the frequencies changing. They're trying to bait people and anchor them here. They want them to stay so that they can feed off of them. You're even hearing about these animals that are in this death twirl thing, and then all of a sudden you see black and lights, and then they like disappear, or they drop and they're dead. Because so many people are becoming enlightened, less and less people are going through that fear factor so that they can feed through the loosh. So they're even taking animals now and using them to feed off of the loosh of animals that are suffering in pain, or that are also, frightened by something. And that's where you see that whirling of the animal, and like a little tornado thing, what they call it a death something or other. Yes. And then you see the darkness. So if you see something with darkness, it's never good. So it's just not. But then they're around the animals, and fortunately so many people are becoming enlightened, and they're going to become more enlightened. We have so many things that live on this earth with us that we don't see because they're at a higher frequency. And I've been dealing with those too. And actually, Sysco helped me with Bob, which she knows the story about Bob. But I want to tell you that coming up, some very beautiful things have happened with Bob. And it's amazing what love can do to turn something around. So,
yes, love is everything. Love is everything.
Yeah,
isn't it though?
It's repellent for the darkness, that's for sure. They run like somebody farted in the room. If you start, love at them, they like take off like it's a bad stench.
It is, and that's it, folks. And I want to give everybody the tool that they need for this, because with that person, you see that kind of thing. Most of the time, you need the person's agreement. Okay, you can, a parent, a loved one, anybody can put protection on somebody. So you call the blood of Jesus around them. You just put the light of protection around them, and you tell them that nothing can come in there until that their soul can make the choice. Okay, they're wrestling at the same time. Their mind, in their spiritual mind, okay, they're wrestling in the spirit world while they're just laying there. Like somebody will tell you, well, I was in a coma, I had an NDA, I was having a surgery, I came out of my body, saw them committing, doing the surgery, I floated out of my body, that kind of thing. That kind of stuff is going on, whether they know it or not. All right, they're wrestling. So anything you can give them from the outside in is going to help them, like, push that stuff off. If you're worried about this now, I highly recommend you do a couple of things that I've mentioned in the show: the grounding, your meditation, self-guided meditation, Fire gazing, something so simple. Light a candle, look at the candle, put the meditation on, a short one. I highly recommend doing short ones. Ladies, jump in here if you want to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, who
I'd
has time
say
to
do a
long ones?
5-10
I'll fall
minutes.
asleep.
5-10 minutes to start.
Yep.
You know, there's a wonderful one by Doreen Virtue. It's called Shielding and Clearing Meditation. It's guided. It's 7 minutes. I'll put it in the description if I remember. But there's also something I want you guys to know. It's simplest things can anchor you down. Again, think of Jacob Marley in, you know, A Christmas Carol, coming in with all the chains he forged in life. I want you to start looking into things like cutting cord meditations, cleansing bloodline curses and things like this. Now, why do I want you to start there? Because if you start for anything that might have happened before you were born, okay, that happened to your family, that you're carrying that burden, cut those cords. Cut the cords of all the little arguments you had with daddy, all that, you know, mama didn't love me, I wasn't the favorite. Get rid of all that because you agreed to it before you got here. Stop carrying it around. That is some extra luggage you don't need to be carrying in your little matching Samsonite with the duct tape and the bungee cords around it that you're dragging your luggage of life around. Sort that shit. You know, keep the socks that don't fall down. Get rid of the rest of the shit. Because here's the deal. You don't want to be doing this at the end of life. You know, I'm so sorry, Maggie. I never, you know, I stole your boyfriend and I never told you. Write it down and send it to her. Tell her, get rid of everything and get rid of the cords that are attached, that are really dragging you down. Like Lynn is saying, like Michelle is saying here, that's the stuff you need to get rid of. The regret, the jealousy, the anger, the bull crap you got going on with the chick down at work. You know, all of that stuff, let it go. Some people are put in your life to test you, to push you so you can hone your armor and make it stronger, like the masking of a sword. Okay? I'm telling you, it's a hard thing, but once you get it and you go, are you telling me that my spirit guides, the universe, whoever's in charge and got this wheel, put that bitch in my office just to test me and make me stronger? Yes. And at the same time, she's learning and she's going through stuff. You can't control that. You can only control how you react to it. That's yours. That's what you're responsible for. So thank the bitch in the office that tests you every day and makes you have patience and makes you hold your tongue and makes you not key her Mercedes when you go down to the parking lot because you made a choice not to do it. That was your little yes, your little no. And if you watch Nefarious, the demon that jumps in that man will tell you, I got in here because of little yeses and the little no's. And I want you to watch another movie. And we've said it here before. And ladies, if you've never seen it, I highly recommend. Lynn, I believe you have because we talked about it last year around this time. You know, the number one biggest rock in your pocket right now in that big overcoat or life you have with all the big pockets and all your little pebbles and rocks put in there. The heaviest one, forgiveness. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. You have to forgive them. I had to forgive my father and said, look, if we agreed for all this stuff, you did a good job. I love you. Thank you for doing it. I learned from it. I'm stronger. I'm a warrior because of it. You know, my armor is thick, you know, and my toolbox is full. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now you can look back. Do you wonder why light workers have such a hard life? It's that. It's that reason, because the hard potholes, the sharp lefts, the hard lefts, the wild, you know, loop-de-doos that you get on, you can't get back off. Do you have to fight your way out? And you learned it.
That's true.
That's why you have it.
That's
because
true.
You're a light worker. Go ahead.
Also, if you have not experienced it, you cannot help heal others if you have not experienced the pain and the situation. And part of us coming in is to help heal and elevate, you know, people that way. So sometimes if you look at a person who, like the bitch in the office, and realize that that person is a broken soul who's doing the best they can, then you can shift it and not take it so personal. And you can look at it in a more loving way that then sends them love, and you go on your merry way. That, you know, forgiving is one thing. You don't have to forget. You still set those boundaries there. You know, and you also, I was going into another direction. I want to stay on this one, but that is important too. So if you can look at it in a different way.
Thank you, Gail. Yeah, absolutely. I highly agree. And that's the thing. We have the hardest thing to, because when you're in the car and you're late and the tire blows or whatever happens, that somebody got in your bank account, whatever it may be, take a deep breath and say, am I supposed to be learning from this? Is there something that I'm working on? Because here's the deal. I think one of the hardest things for a lot of older people is to know what you're doing and then go into a place where, like, say, use this as an example. You're a soldier, and say you're a sergeant, whatever, an E5, and this new butter bar comes in, this new lieutenant. He's 21 years old, soaking wet. Just what behind the ears. And you have to take orders for that person. What does that teach you? You know more. You have more street cred. You have more knowledge. You've been in the game longer. And here comes this little, shiny little, crisp uniform telling you, and they don't have a clue what they're doing. Here's the thing. Humble, because you have to go through whatever you're going through. And maybe you're just supposed to learn how to let other people go through their phase and you don't get in the way. Maybe you have to learn here how to be humble, or you have to learn how to, take instruction from other people, as painful as that may be, even if you know it's wrong, and you have to go through the phases of it so they can learn. Look, everything is multi-layered, and we have a tendency of looking things at this tight little track that we're on. Everything has to do with us. It's, I'm in line and I'm being held up and I'm going to be late and I'm going to, and all this. And we get mad because we can't find our keys, and we don't realize the spirit guide held back the keys or moved the keys because you missed an accident, or
That's
this
right.
happened over here.
Say thank you.
Yeah.
Roll with it, baby. And don't struggle against it so much, because we're all here learning every minute of the day. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially as light workers. And we're here. Look at how much light is coming off of Michelle. And Lynn, when Lynn's here, the same thing happens. These are light workers. We have been through hell.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. We've been lied to. We've been screwed over. We trusted the wrong people. We thought we were strong enough to take that person that kept jumping in the hole. We can jump in there and get them out. And the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time, because we're strong enough, so we're going to do it. And then we have to realize, nope, you know what? I'm done with that mess, and that's okay. And you walk away. All the different things. You got that teenager that won't listen. You got that husband that won't bring the paycheck, whatever it may be. Listen, you picked it, work through it, try to figure out what you're supposed to learn from it. Thank your guides. Number one question I always get, if I have a guardian angel, why did I run into that tree? Because, honey, you were probably supposed to hit the tree. What did you do after you hit the tree? Did you get back up? Were you stronger? Did you know what it felt like to hit the tree? Could you help the person who hit the tree tomorrow? Sure, because you've been there. All of these things. You picked to be a light worker. Welcome to the club.
Right.
And and as Sysco had mentioned before, we're seen as heroes on the other side. So it's actually an honorary position to be the light workers and light bearers and light anchors. So yeah, we're here.
Thank
to
you.
help.
And I love that. Explain what a light anchor is, Lynn. I think that's a great way to go out tonight. We're going to do this every month. I want, when you leave here, Michelle, get with Stephanie, pick another date. And, maybe by the time we get a couple more of these, maybe we can get Stephanie and you, we can do like 3 readings or something to show guys how you do. Because when they're on their channel and they get together on Get Spooky Society, gets with Michelle, they do little readings and stuff. And like I said, if you want a good reading, please go into a reading with, tell your guides ahead of time, just give me the message I need to hear now. Don't set up, I want to know this. I want to know this, right? Because you're blocking. You might get a message you're not ready for. You might get a message that you're just, satisfy you for now, but won't help you what you really need. So I want you to get over on Michelle's channel. Mods, drop the link if you can.
Yeah, Michelle,
send a couple of that.
I want to get a reading from you. So
absolutely.
I would be honored.
Absolutely. And the wonderful astrology too. Next time we come on, I want to talk a little bit about astrology. Lynn, are you familiar at all with the astrology and the machinations?
I am familiar with
okay, I'm not at all.
Astrology.
Other than I know I'm a Capricorn, so other than that, I'd love to learn more about that because I think a lot of people are interested in it, and any tools that we can give people to work with. But for now, I yield to you, Michelle, and Stephanie's wonderful talents that you guys do. It's absolutely amazing. And I just think it's wonderful how everybody in here has got something different, and there's a reason for that, because these spirits and these ghosts, and the living, we all are here for a reason. We all have our spot. And I think they've kept the cover to the box to all our little puzzle pieces. And we're finding our home. We're finding each other. We're finding our tribe. That's what this channel is about. That's what the music in the beginning is about. Because let me tell you something. These youngins, they can't make it through. They have so much blinded, stuff going on that the world has done to them. The MK Ultra and the frequencies and the subliminal messaging and stuff. They don't have the patience to get through a couple of dancing chickens and some some vaudeville type raccoons. It actually hurts them to be around this happy stuff and this high frequencies. So if I'm playing that stuff and you're watching it on Rumble as a replay or whatever, understand that we have an intro here for a reason. If we can come in and we can talk about dark stuff on a high frequency and then we leave on a high frequency, that's for you, because I understand how this works. And I always laugh when these little, find a good word, jumps into my comments, and the first thing that they think of, they're just angry. They're just so put out because, are you kidding me? 5 minutes of dancing chickens. I came here for this. Well, honey, there's a reason you're burning. What it is, it's like visual and audible sage. And if you can't stand to get through it, there's your issue. This is your issue. You're in that realm of this agitation because all you think of was to put a negative comment. You took the time, and all in caps, which is, again, sweetie, get yourself together. Okay.
I dance around the room. I dance around the room. I know the music that you play. I love it. It makes me smile.
See, they just don't realize that it's like a door. It's like I have a guard at the door, and if you can't get past my bouncer, if you don't have the right ID, go get the right ID and come back, because you're going to learn stuff here, and you're going to learn stuff. So maybe you don't have to call somebody when something happens, or you messed with something you shouldn't, or you have abilities and you don't go down the wrong road. We're trying to get you to the right people that can help you understand your abilities, and then you can use them as a light worker in the capacity you were meant to use. That's what we're here for tonight. I love you guys so much. Lynn Monnet, where can we find you, my sweetie?
At www.lynnmonnet.com. I'm currently streaming on Gaia with Beyond Belief with George Norrie. I'm going to be starting a new podcast coming up here in January with on Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis, not with Clyde Lewis, but it's going to be on the network that he also uses. So that'll be coming out. And I've got a book. That's getting ready to come out at any time here. The next show that we have, it should be out by then. I hope so. So the next show that I'm on with Sysco, I will be doing the free ebook thing for donations of $20 or more to Sysco, and you'll be able to get your ebook from me. So and then I've got one that I'm currently writing. It's almost finished, so I should be having actually 2 of them coming out back to back. So there you go. Very interesting stuff. So
there you go. They love your magnificent smile, Michelle. Everybody's just radiating tonight. And I may be your soul sister, honey. I might be your spirit animal. And I've been known to bite. So I'm pretty sure off your energy, I'm getting that you're good. You're good with that. You're okay. So you're going to be fine. And thank you, all the new people that came in tonight, everybody that subbed, everybody that came over from Michelle's channel that Lynn brought in. We love you so much. You're welcome here. This can be your soul tribe. Absolutely. Listen, I'm going to say some things that's going to piss you off, but I'm going to tell you the truth, because I'm too old to lie about this. This is what I'm here to tell everybody. Listen, we have got to start understanding ghosts, because they were people too, and they just need help. And if we can prevent one person from becoming a ghost and not have to deal with it here and get them over there so they can do their next thing, well, then we've done our job, and try to make life a little easier for you. Michelle, where can we find you, sweetheart?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube. Also, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. It's all the same. It's Michelle Brandenburg, psychic medium, tarot, and more.
There you go. And when do you do your readings? Now you do, I wanted to make sure people knew this. You do the astrology, you do for each and every sign. And when do you do that? Do you do that special time during the month?
Well, okay, what it is, right now I'm in the middle. I just got the monthlies out. Now I'm in the middle of getting the yearlies done.
Okay.
So it's kind of changing things a little bit for me. Plus, I just started a second job. So,
Okay.
my schedule's a little mixed until next week. Now, next week I'll go back on schedule. So Mondays I go live with the zodiac signs.
Love that.
And I'm thinking about 9 a.m., but I'm not setting that in stone right now. I'm still tweaking.
So just get over there and subscribe to the channel. People will be able to see it there. Okay.
I also do past lives. From here, I try to get on there, at least twice a month to do free past life readings, for people in the chat. But I also want to switch it up. I don't want to just always have it past life readings.
You got a lot of stuff going on in the channel there, just like Lynn. And I mean, again, go into Lynn's and you see if there's an interview there that might resonate with you. What I want you to do now for the next week till we get together, or like say for the next month, there will be shows in between. We do them every Sunday, every Monday. And tomorrow night I'll be with Steve Stockton. But what I want you to do to next time we get together again, I'm going to call it Circle of Light Workers every time. So you'll know when we're on. And it'll be whoever's here, Stephanie, Michelle, Lynn. We might have some other people join us. You never know, because the spirits kind of guide this. So it's what we need to hear at this time. So what I want you to do is make sure that you're in with both of them. You're connected to their channels, and over here on Rumble. And during the week, during Rumble, I'm going to try to get in there. And one time this week, I'm going to tell you what's going on with these orbs and these drones and things like that. I don't want you to be afraid. I'm going to tell you the truth that I'm getting, and I do some hella research on this stuff. And I'm telling you, I've got my eye on this stuff, and I don't want you to fear, but there are some things we need to know. So you can be prepared. Don't be scared. Be prepared. So, anything that you can do around the house to tighten things up, get some bills paid, get some extra, extra cut can of beans, make sure you got water, all that kind of stuff, because it just makes sense to do that.
Yes.
And definitely do that, and keep your eye on, everything. And listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. If a plasma orb comes by your house, do not get on the back porch and have a conversation with this thing. I'm telling you right now, honey, these are not aliens. They are not aliens. They were reverse engineered. They're us.
Yes.
And it's corporate. And I can explain that, but we have to explain that on another
are you referencing those turquoise
and rogue military?
Are they those turquoise colored orbs? Is that what you're talking about?
All the orbs right now. Everything is reverse engineered stuff.
Can I say something on
that? On the plasma. It's hard to believe, but it is.
Without saying too much.
Mm-hmm.
So in consciousness, I go on the spacecraft. So sometimes as I'm leaving, as they release me or whatever you want to call it, I fall backwards. And so it's like I'm looking up at the bottom of the spacecraft, and I can see the spacecraft are always slick. They're slick. There's no bolts. There's no nuts. There's no parts that look like a bridge, like holding something together that you would weld.
Right.
It's smooth. It's all smooth. Always remember that.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I don't have enough time to explain everything tonight, but like I said, for now, I'm not saying there aren't aliens out there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what you're seeing isn't. Just like I told you, because here's the thing. If they were and they didn't want to be seen, they wouldn't be following our navigational lights, trust me, it's a mixture of things. It's multi-leveled. Okay.
It's intentional.
And it's intentional. And the only reason I don't want you to be out there talking with them and all that kind of stuff is because if there is any kind of EMFs coming off of this, or any kind of radiation whatsoever, or anything that you might want to get on you, you don't want to be in, on your back porch having a conversation, because energy is going to, there's a video out there. The lady was talking and she was talking about God and everything, and it was lighting up. And she was excited because she's like, okay, the orb knows God. You're reacting to that. Well, if you took somebody that said just something of the opposite, it's going to react the same way, because it's reacting to the energy, the vocals, not so much what they're saying, because this is reverse engineered. It's us. It's rogue military. There's a lot going on.
I agree.
But for right now, I don't want you having contact with something you don't understand that you may wish you had. So just for now, treat it like a bat with rabies. Okay. Don't let it get in your hair. All right. Stay away from it. Don't chase it. Don't do anything. Mind your business and move on till we get this straightened out. I just don't want anybody adversely hurt, and certainly don't go shooting them down. Like that one lady said, she didn't want an alien mounted in her living room. Her hillbilly husband was out there with a shotgun. I just laughed my butt off. But before we go, real quick, this is real 2 minutes. If you guys have to go, please, thank you so much for being here. But I want to give everybody a tool before they leave tonight. This is a movie. I want you to go see it. It is free, multiple different places. I hope people that are in Canada or whatever be able to see it too. But it is called The Ravine. It is powerful. It is real. And it is exactly what is going on right now. All light workers are feeling this call, this feeling like, man, I've got a feeling I got to do this. Feel that out. Ask your guides for help. But the number one lesson in this movie is the fact that we are accountable for everything we say and do. And the number one thing that's the hardest for us to do is to forgive. And this movie is called Ravine. It is amazing. It was put out in 2022.
Please forgive me.
Bill, Danny just left me a really strange message. I need you to get a hold of him.
Danny? Rachel? Anybody home?
Chris, where are your mom and dad?
I can't look for Mom.
Hey, Mom, what's going on?
You need to sit down, sweetheart. Danny killed Rachel and one of the boys last night.
Hey, little man, I'll be running.
I love you, Renee.
My name is Detective Ben Lee. Danny committed these killings.
You did not know Danny the way I did.
We all have one question before us today, and that question is, what meaning will we attach to these events?
This is very common for witnesses to be people with dicey backgrounds.
We need to know all the facts.
Promise me you won't hurt him, Mitch.
Where is he?
We all experience darkness. Ask yourself something. Do you want to be guided by hate?
We've all made mistakes.
Wow.
This is a very powerful movie, and it starts out powerful and it goes through. There is a light worker in here, and I believe it's played by Ruby Dee. And she just looks at her husband. He says, what are you going to do? She says, I'm feeling this. This family's going through this. What are you going to do? She goes, I'm going to go explain love to them. Every light worker should get to this point. It's so hard to remember when you're going through it. It's so hard. I know it's hard. Okay. But if you can remember these little things, it'll get you over those humps. It'll, when something happens, you'll see it differently, and you'll go about it in a light worker perspective of, I can see it all happening. Just like these ladies have said tonight about different rooms and different people going through different things. You'll see it differently. And that's how you have to start looking from outside at the 40,000 foot view of what's going on. And it'll all just start snapping in. Sarah Claire, I'm going to look around, see if I can find it for free somewhere else. Triplex, Tubi, all those kind of things. Put in, watch The Ravine free, and see if it comes up that way. If you do need to buy it, if it's like $2-3, it's highly highly recommended. It's absolutely worth that. So if I can find it for free, I will get it to you. I love you guys. Be blessed. On the way out here, we're going to play a little dancing music. I want you to take your shoes off. I want you to stop doing what you're doing. If you're driving, please don't do this. Pull over. Pull over. But take your shoes off and dance, because that is going to lift your vibration. I'll tell you what, laughter, all the good things. Keep a little chocolate bar in your sock drawer for emergencies, because that's going to lift your vibrations too. And please hang in there. It's going to be a rough ride, but if you could be like that little piggy that's hanging outside of the window with the pinwheel just going whee, it'll be a much better one, because you can't get off the ride. I'm sorry. I love y'all. Thank you for being here. I love you both, my soul sisters.
Love you guys.
And I'll contact you all tomorrow. We'll pick up another date. And we're going to do this again. I love you all so much. But for now, we're going to dance the blues away. Good night, everybody. I love you. Be blessed. Good job, ladies. I love you both. Good night, everybody. Thank you to all the new people. Thank you for coming in here. Appreciate you over on the Rumble, because that's where the really good shows are going to be. Join us for New Year's Eve on Tuesday. We're going to watch movies, Little Poseidon Adventure, maybe Stir of Echoes. Maybe we'll watch Room of the Century, maybe Pet Cemetery. I don't know what we're going to watch. We're going to have fun. We'll be there together. We're going to go here. Call in the movement. What do you think? I love you. This is the way into it. There we go. All right. Come on. Come on. There it is. Dancing is silent poetry. You don't have to rhyme. You don't have to rhyme. Just get out there. Just get out. Go ahead, Peanut. You show, Peanut. We love you, Peanut. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow night. Mr. Steve Stockton, right here. Same bat channel. Be good humans.